it's kind of new technology, and so we're just kind of working through it. But looks like we got audio. So, hey, we're going to be doing the 2019 rule changes for this year. There's not many, but there's a few. So we're going to go through them. This is the alternate state clinic, by the way. The actual state clinic was on Friday and Saturday of this week, or last week. And it was excellent. We had Major League umpire Mike Everett with us, so that worked out really well. We couldn't get on the field because the field was kind of trashed with, snow melt and some rain too. So couldn't get on the field, but we're hoping next year we do it a little bit differently. So anyway, hey, let's continue on. By the way, at the end of the presentation on the rule changes, I'm gonna do about maybe 5 minutes of three-man crew mechanics, just some basic things about three-man, something you can maybe write a note to yourself on. I'm not gonna get into huge detail because I know that, teaching three-man on a computer screen is not gonna work. So I've just come up with a couple of little concepts for you to remember when you're doing three-man crew mechanics. So, well, let's get going with the first slide, and it would help if I went to the next slide. And let's see, I don't believe. Okay, bear with me, guys. Get rid of that. Oh, I have to go to next. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. As you'll notice, there's a little bit of a pitching pivot foot and pitching plate a rule change. It's under Rule 613. And it's page 40 of your new rule books. So pitchers don't have to have their entire pivot foot in contact with the pitcher's plate. This, that change is going to recognize that, a lot of mounds around, not only New Mexico, but around the United States are in, kind of terrible conditions. Sometimes it can be a foot deep. I mean, sometimes it can be really mushy. Sometimes they're just not right. So we're allowing these pitchers to stand on the edge of the pitcher's plate, as you can see right there. So on the corner is no longer going to be any kind of violation. Okay, so let that go if they're doing it. But there's one position that you'll see in the next slide. If I can get there, and I'm not getting it. Okay, bear with me, guys. Damn it. Okay, guys, just hang on.
Spacebar?
Spacebar.
Or get, oh, there you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, spacebar. Interesting. I was trying the mouse and I needed to do the spacebar. Anyway, hey, so, but this one is going to be illegal, okay? So we've got to have that parallel position on that foot, even though he's on the edge of the pitcher's plate. Got to have that parallel situation, not what you're seeing there. So that's going to be illegal. So just make sure that, you get that one. Maybe call time, at the lower levels. Make a quick change. Don't make a big production of it, but certainly deal with the skipper in between innings and just let him know, hey, listen, your pitcher needs to have that pivot foot in a parallel position if he's going to stand on the edge of the pitcher's plate. Okay, so and then this just lets you know that the word entire was taken out of the 613 rule, Article 3. So entire pivot foot is no longer in the rule book. So it's crossed out. So just recall that he can be on the edge of the pitcher's plate right now because of the terrible conditions of the of the holes in front of the pitcher's plate. And then this just gives you the reasons they did it. I mean, we know it. We've talked about it. So and the main thing is no real true advantages gained by having some of his or her pivot foot not in contact with the pitcher's plate. So there's no real advantage gained. So they decided at the NFHS to go ahead and allow this because no advantage is being gained. There's it's all legit. So, all right. So here are some of the NFHS baseball editorial changes. So we're going to go through those real quick. All right. So for 2020, not this year, but 2020, we're going to have that authenticating mark on all baseballs. And you can see it. It meets NOXI standard. So you're going to see that in 2020. You may see it this year. Don't worry about it this year. It doesn't go into effect till 2020. So if you see both marks, if you see the NFHS mark on it and the NOXI, don't worry about it. Go ahead and play with it. If it doesn't have the NOXI, continue to play with it. And so that they decided to wait another season on this for this really unusual reason that, and you'll see it in just a second. Okay, we're going to zip through this slide. So if you'll notice, the deadline extension was granted to accommodate those schools that had a robust surplus. Let me say that again. That had a robust surplus of baseballs and allowed them to be used and not wasted or destroyed. Guys, I don't know about you, but I've never had a robust surplus in any of my games. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you know, I mean, I sometimes have to beg for baseballs, and sometimes they come out of the the bucket that they've had infield practice with. So anyway, that's some of the schools actually do have this robust surplus, so they didn't want to eliminate those baseballs because they're very expensive. I mean, that's the most expensive part of baseball is those baseballs. So, so that's why it's going to wait till 2020 to have both of those stamps on baseball. Okay, so in your rule book on page, I believe it's 56, this 8-2-6L, this is the last time buy. This has always kind of confused me a little bit, but if you read it, you'll, I'm hoping you'll understand it. But let me just read it. If a runner correctly touches a base that was missed, either in advancing or returning, the last time he was by the base, that last touch corrects any previous base running infraction. Now, the exception is 8-4-2Q, which says any runner's out when he's on or beyond a succeeding base when the ball is declared dead. So just be familiar with that rule. It didn't get changed much, but it's fairly significant. So you need to be especially familiar with 8-4-2Q and then 8-2-6L. So. Okay, so rule 8-3-1A basically states, and I'm not sure what it's highlighted in gray in the rule book. A lot of the changes, guys, in your new rule books are shaded in gray, so you can just like flip through the rule book and check out those gray shaded areas. Those are all changes that have been made since 2018. So, but each runner other than the batter runner, who's governed by 8-1-2, is awarded one base when there's a balk or a pitch strikes a runner. Okay, so we had a couple questions on this pitch striking a runner, but if you read 5-1-1A, you'll see that if a kid from third gets a huge jump and the pitcher delays and throws and hits him, there's certain things you have to be ready to do when that happens. So just be familiar with that, and then the sub articles B and C all remained the same. Okay, guys, so now we're going to go into this points of, by the way, let me ask you guys, are you seeing a sort of a weird black
that's odd. I just saw
line on your screens? If somebody could, hey, Don Cole, if you could nod and tell me, on your screen, do you see, you do, you've seen it too? Okay, I thought it was just me.
Yes, I see it.
I see them too.
Not sure exactly what that is, but we'll continue. It's kind of bugging me. But anyway, so let's go with the points of emphasis. This is really critical stuff here, guys. If you could really pay real super close attention to this, because these are things that keep happening year after year, and some of these things are repeated from last year. So there's a couple of rules or a couple of points of emphasis from last year that are also points of emphasis this year. So you've got to make sure you absolutely focus on this. Okay. So first one is these chest-to-chest standoffs that are happening with not only teams but also skippers on the field. They're staring at each other and they're staring each other down during the national anthem. And that is unacceptable in every possible way. They're showing a disrespect to the game. They're showing a disrespect for the flag, disrespect for the United States. I mean, everything. Just don't let this happen, okay? If the national anthem is going on, don't deal with it during the anthem, but deal with it certainly after the anthem and find out what the heck is going on with a couple of skippers there that are standing, chest to chest. They're trying to intimidate each other, and it's just not acceptable. It's just not baseball. It's competing with class. So we're gonna actually talk to them after that, and then also feel free to get a get a report in too to the NMAA on that, and just let them know exactly what happened. The NMAA will be more than happy to call both schools and ask them what the heck went on. So we're going to watch that real closely. So when that, if the national anthem gets played, 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, but certainly at the state tournament it does. And so you want to watch real closely for these two coaches or the players also, staring at each other. Okay, so this is sportsmanship, bench jockeying and celebration. So coaches, players, subs, attendants, or other bench personnel shall not leave the dugout during a live ball for any unauthorized purposes. Okay, so this is pretty critical. We don't want to let this happen. I mean, during a home run, it's fine. The ball's dead, so we're going to allow it. But like I said, if the ball's dead and somebody hits a home run, the ball's dead. Make sure those players are out around the grass area. Don't let them into that. My office, which is that dirt circle area around the plate, or the catcher's office, okay? Because that's usually, what's happening there. These players are popping off to the catcher to try to get to the pitcher. So just make sure that during a live ball, we keep all these guys in the dugout. And, that's a good idea to just emphasize that at the pregame. When you're having your pregame with these skippers or representatives, just make sure you tell them, hey, listen, nobody can come out of the dugout during live ball. And if, if they do, I mean, use a little bit of logic and common sense on that. I mean, you're not going to eject everyone that just steps a little bit out of the dugout. But certainly, if it, warn them once, and then if it still continues, then you might want to eject somebody. Eject the kid with the sneakers that's sitting on the edge of the dugout and the end of the dugout bench. I mean, make some kind of a statement there. But my suggestion is to warn them first. Just let them know, hey, listen. We talked about this in the pregame. Nobody can be on live ball territory during a live ball situation. So, huge point of emphasis for 2019. So remember that. Okay, so we got a little clarification on this. We've been a little flexible over the past couple of years about one skipper sitting on a bucket, but for 2019 we're not going to allow it. We're just going to have everybody in the dugout. I mean, MLB. Coaches do not come out of their dugout for any reason, except to talk to a pitcher for any sort of authorized purpose. But in high school, we want all these guys in the dugout, and we got to do this statewide. Everybody's got to do it because I've done this before where I tried to keep the skipper inside the dugout, and he gives me this this situation where, hey, you know what? Yesterday I was sitting on a bucket. Well, it's not yesterday; it's today. So just let them know that the NMAA has specific, or the NFHS and the NMAA have specific, guidelines on this, and it's a safety thing for the most part. But so we're not going to allow coaches to sit on buckets outside a dugout anymore. Okay, for this year and coming years. So unless it changes for this year and coming years, we're not going to allow this. So everybody has to stay in the dugout, including the head coach.
Wow. Hey, Jay, real quick on that.
Okay, same thing. It's just a lot of emphasis on player conduct. Players are not allowed to stand outside their dugout or bench and make cat calls or other disparaging remarks while the other team is taking infield practice. So just make sure you take care of that. You got to be aware of your surroundings out there, plate guys, base guys, everybody. So just be aware of your surroundings at all times. I mean, just make absolutely sure that you check around the area while they're doing the infield practice, and just make sure there's nobody popping off to the other team, because that's going to cause a problem right from the rip. So we don't want to allow this. So if it happens, get with the head coach immediately, let him know what's going on, and he or she will take care of it. Okay, we hope. So let's use that as a huge point of emphasis on player conduct. Okay.
You're going to have a question here for Richard Sanchez.
Okay. Okay.
Jay, can you hear me?
Richard Sanchez has a question.
Jay, can you hear me?
How that question is going to be.
We'll have to type in the chat box.
Okay, so Richard, you're going to have to type in your question in the chat box if you would. I'll hold here seconds, but I'll just talk about this slide too. Just it's the same.
Mark Soriano just said, Jay, dugout or dead ball territory.
So If the dugout is extended, Mark, I mean, obviously it's going to be extended away from the field, right? So we're talking about the dugout area. We did have some questions about that, about, you know, what constitutes a dugout. And we had a couple questions about, oh, hey, if the chain link is, you know, separating the dugout. Like, for instance, at La Cueva, they've got a whole bunch of area that is, you know, toward the field that's kind of chain linked off. But like I said, and I'm not sure if your question was, had something to do with the coach sitting on a bucket, but we're not going to allow it. He just can't do it. You know, in the, you know, that, I mean, there's obviously border areas, there's chain link, sometimes there's brick, sometimes there's cinder block. I mean, we're just not going to allow him to stay out in the live ball area, you know, with a bucket. So we just can't do that. Mark, did that answer your question halfway decently?
Thanks, got it, thanks.
Okay.
And then Richard said, what about pitching coaches just on the edge of the dugout to give signals?
You know, edge of the dugout to give signals is going to be fine, Richard. We're going to be okay with that. We're also going to be okay with a coach who steps out briefly to talk to his players. You know, like I said, let's use a little common sense and logic on this. I mean, you're not going to just be, you know, you're not going to be just a robot focused on one step out of the dugout. Okay, we're not going to do that. So if he wants to step out for, you know, briefly for a, you know, to coach his kids or to have a word, you know, with the catcher, whatever. I mean, we're definitely going to allow that, but we want him back in when play continues. So, like I said, use a little bit of common sense, a little bit of logic on that, and don't just be a cop out there. You know, you don't want to be the baseball police out there. I mean, just like I said, common sense and logic is really critical on this. So,
Luis Gallardo, shouldn't we keep all players in their respective dugout during infield practice?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mr. Bayardo. I've seen it where the coach is, you know, wants his kids to watch the infield practice. I don't see that there's anything wrong with, because that's not necessarily during the game. It's a live ball area, obviously, but it's not during the game. So, I mean, I don't know. I would say, you know, common sense or logic dictates to me that, I'm going to allow him to be outside the dugout during that time. I mean, you know, I'm not going to get too, official or technical about that, as long as, you know, the safety is not compromised in any way. So, like I said, use some common sense on that. And I would say, you know, if the players want to, you know, hang outside the dugout, and they're behaving themselves and they're not having cat calls or, you know, not popping off to the other players, then I would say allow it. I don't think that's going to be a huge deal. So anyway, so that's my take on it. So if that makes sense to you, then let's, you know, go ahead and not get, you know, too technical about that one.
And Rick Day, the question was, shouldn't we keep all players in their respective dugout during infield practice? You had said you couldn't hear the question, so hopefully you heard me.
Okay, so Rick, are you having a hard time?
Oh, you got it.
Okay, are you okay, Rick? Everything okay over there? I don't see you, by the way. The only person I see is Richard Sanchez for some reason. Not sure why I'm not seeing everybody, but anyway. So Rick, maybe type in a response. Did you get all that?
He said he got it.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Okay, let's move on, guys. All right. So, per rule change approved in 17, the catcher's body chest protector shall meet the NOC standard effective January 1 of 2020. So we're not going to be dealing with this until 2020. So this year, they don't have to have the NOC stamp on their chest protector. And there's a reason for that on the chest protector. Apparently, there have been several catchers in the United States in the last 5 years who have died as a result of taking a baseball to the chest. Usually it's right above the heart, and it's during a heart rhythm or during a heartbeat situation. I mean, it has to be a perfect storm. The ball has to impact and the heart has to be doing something. And then the impact creates the heart, an unusual rhythm, a lethal rhythm, actually, as a result of that sharp impact to the area above the heart. And it usually deals with boys who are about 15 years old. That's I did a little bit of research on that a couple weeks ago, and it just seems like the 15-year-olds are the ones most vulnerable to this. So because we've had some deaths in this area, they're going to put that, they're going to make that NOXI stamp be on all catchers' chest protectors, as well as the helmet, obviously. But that's been going on for quite a while. But so now it's going to be the chest protectors as well. And what I'm guessing is they're probably going to be adding some high impact plastic to that area above the heart, so that if you do take a blow to that heart area, it's not going to stop your heart and cause you to go down with immediate death, because that's what's happened. It's unfortunate, but that's exactly what's happened there. So, but like I said, this won't happen until January 1st of 2020. So the 2020 season, we're going to be looking for the. Well, we won't be looking. We'll ask the skippers if everybody's legally equipped, and that will cover the that NOXI stamp on the new chest protector. So it's going to be front and center too. By the way, it's not going to be hidden. It's going to be right there. I mean, it's like the helmets themselves have them usually on the back of the helmet, so you can see it real clearly as you're squatting down to start the game, or even before the game starts. But this symbol will be right on, just where it says, just where it shows it on the slide. It's going to be front and center. It's going to be real obvious. It's going to be very clear. Okay, so helmets also have to meet the provisions of Rule 1-5-2, including all face mask guards attached after manufacture are approved by the manufacturer and meet the NOXI standard at the time of the manufacture. So we're seeing a lot of that in the major leagues. Stanton took a serious blow to the face, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, and it exploded his face basically. And so you'll see there's a guard like this, but the main thing about this guard is they have to be NOXI certified as well. So and so here's what it says. A face mask guard specifically designed for a particular helmet model may be attached after manufacture, provided the procedure is approved by the manufacturer and meets the NOXI standard at the time of manufacture. So what I'm thinking is that NOXI standard that you see on the right, to the right of that helmet right there, is going to be stamped directly on there, either inside or out. We don't know yet. So that has to be done that way. You'll see the 3 rivets there. They're pretty easy to attach. They attach pretty firmly. But like I said, they're going to have to meet that NOXI standard, so that when if the ball hits it and impacts it, it's not going to fracture or crack.
Richard said, why doesn't it go into effect immediately? I'm guessing the chest protector.
So the chest protector situation is well, let's go back. I'm not sure if I can go back. Anyway, we'll talk about that. But I am not completely sure why that doesn't happen right away, but it's effective 2020. So I'm thinking, a lot of attorneys have been contacted on this. I mean, that's my guess, and they're trying to come up with a procedure that protects the younger kids, the 15-year-olds who seem to be in this group of kids who have died from this impact. So I'm guessing there's probably some legalities that have to be worked out, maybe some wording on the, from attorneys on the legalities of it. So, my best guess is they were going to wait until they got it completely, set up as far as the legal aspects of this whole thing. So that's my best guess on this thing. I do not know for a fact, but that's my best guess about why they're waiting.
And Richard, I'm not sure if you can hear me, I'm across the desk, but a lot of times the National Federation, if we're doing some kind of a uniform change, including any kind of equipment, they usually give it a year to give schools the time to buy the equipment because of the way school budgets are and uniform cycling, so they usually don't make it effective immediately. It's kind of unfortunate when it's safety reasons, but they do still have to consider school budgets and being able to purchase that equipment. So I'm assuming between the legality stuff as well as the timing and budgets, those are probably the 2 reasons why. And that's pretty much in concert with how the Federation works with uniform changes and that sort of thing.
So, and that was a good answer. It's a combination of both of those things, I'm sure, and that's why they haven't integrated this immediately. But they have not, and like I said, it'll be during your 2020 season when you're going to be looking for the NOXI stamp on the catcher's protective chest gear. So, okay, so Here we're talking about bats. We've talked about bats for a lot of years. We've defined the bat. I mean, you know, the NFHS leaves it up to the state or whether or not to go with you know, wood bats or metal bats. In the state of New Mexico, we're not going to allow metal bats unless the team is coming in from another state, and they're you know, and that would be the only reason why some, you know, metal bats would be allowed. But they do have to have that BB core on the bat if they're using it. So all they want to tell us here is bats shall be unaltered from the manufacturer's original design and production and must meet the provisions of Rule 1-3-2, because, you know, there's some bats that are being doctored up out there. There's bats that are that have burrs on them. There's bats that have dents on them, you know, things like that. I mean, we don't check dugouts anymore. Remember, we haven't checked dugouts for a lot of years for equipment. So, but if you do see a bat laying down after a kid hits and you see a big burr sitting out that could, you know, open up a wound on somebody's hand, then obviously take that back to the dugout. Let the skipper know. Get a report together for the NMOA, and that way we can, you know, make sure that bat is abandoned for the season unless it's, you know, repaired in some way. So when you're making a determination on a burr or a dent, just make sure that you know, you keep safety, potential dangers or safety issues in mind when you're making a decision to, you know, to remove a bat. Sometimes there have been like little attachments at the bottom of the bat to improve the grip. If it can come off, or it's, you know, made of metal or it's loose, don't hesitate to get rid of that bat and make sure it's you know, taken out of service. Okay, so the next one is this point of emphasis. So this has been happening for, you know, for the past 5 years. I mean, there's all kinds of inconsistent rulings on this, but the rule basically says runners are never required to slide, but if a runner elects to slide, it's got to be legal. Okay, a legal slide can either be feet first or head first. The runner slides feet first. At least one head and buttock shall be on the ground. Okay, so we just want to make sure that you jump into the rule book. I mean, go into the other book that you've got for the state clinic. I think it's called, I forget what it's called. It's a booklet that explains this pretty clearly. So just make sure that you know, you're looking at those slides. Remember, the force play slide rule is confused constantly. People think, oh, it's called force play slide rule, like you must slide. Well, you don't have to. So just be sure you're really familiar with that. If a kid slides beyond the base, it's not going to be a big deal unless he interferes with the pattern of the play. So keep that in mind. If he slides through and interferes with the pattern of the play, you've got interference. Okay, so make sure you just be familiar. Go through page 54 on the rule book. It explains it really clearly. So page 24 has rule 2-32-1. If a runner slides, he must slide within reach of the base with either a hand or a foot. But that's not during a force play slide rule, okay? So regular slides have to be within reach of the hand or foot. So keep that in mind. A lot of umpires have been, you know, using the force play slide rule in other situations, and that's not right. It's not fair. So just make sure you're familiar with that. Like I said, it's on page 54 of the rule book. And also rule 2-32-2 gives you all kinds of information on, you know, what's an illegal slide. So here's a couple of them. The pop-up into the fielder is not going to be acceptable. You're going to get interference on that. You're most likely going to also call the batter out at first too, because the rule says you can get 2 outs on that. So 9 times out of 10, I'm always going to get 2 outs on that, just because the pattern of the play was interfered with, and there could be a wild throw. So pop-ups are not going to be allowed. Runners may not have a leg raised higher than the fielder's knee. Obviously, that's a cleat issue. If he's coming in that high, means he could do some damage to the knee area. He could rip it open. He could cause a laceration up there. He's got metal cleats, you know, most of the time. So any slides, you know, that have his foot, the sliding runner's foot at the knee or above, is going to be a ruled interference. And then we talked about this a little briefly a couple minutes ago, but except at home plate, runners may not slide through or be on the base. But I know it makes it sound like he can never do it. But you know what? Guys, use a little bit of common sense and logic on this one. He can do it if he doesn't interfere with the pattern of the play or he's sliding away from the fielder, okay? So they can slide through as long as they do not interfere with anything. So keep that in mind. And that's going to be on in section 32 on slides on page 4 of your rule book. Okay, so here it says runners may not slide away from a base in the direction of the fielder, but the runner may slide in a direction away from the fielder to avoid making contact or altering the pattern of the play of the fielder. So that's pretty cut and dried. Like I said, it's on page 24. The runner's out when he illegally slides or affects the play. On a forced play, the runner is also guilty of interference. The batter runner is also declared out, and all runners must return to the base occupied at the time of the pitch. I know you guys all know that, but like I said, it's a point of emphasis for this year, and we've got to be familiar with what's an illegal slide, what is interfering with the pattern of the play, sliding through a base and interfering, as opposed to sliding through a base and not doing anything and not interfering with anything. So that's going to be. And as usual, I mean, this has been in the rule book for a lot of years. Jumping, hurling, and leaping are all legal attempts, not illegal, but legal attempts to avoid a fielder as long as the fielder is lying on the ground, not on his knees, not in a squat position, but lying on the ground. Okay, so the theory there is that when he's lying on the ground, they're going to minimize any kind of like cleat damage that might happen when he's doing this jump, hurdle, or leap of the fielder. So just make sure that fielder's got to be lying on the ground in order for that to be legal. Okay, so jumping, hurling, and leaping, legal attempts to avoid a fielder as long as the fielder is lying on the ground. Okay? Yeah. Uh-huh.
If the slide goes through the base on a turf field, but the fielder has already easily released the ball towards first base, how do you view this?
I view that, Louis, as legal. I mean, like I said, you got to keep in mind, is when he slides through the base, like, is he interfering? You got to ask yourself that question. Is there some kind of interference with the pattern of the play when he does that? I mean, a lot of these fields, sometimes when these turf fields get wet, they can slide 40 feet beyond second base. Well, that's not illegal. Technically. Now, if he does slide, past the base like that, like I said before, if he interferes with the pattern of the play, then get him. I mean, there's no doubt that's going to be interference. But if there's no contact made, no deviation from, or causing any kind of deviation from the fielder going to first, we're going to allow that to happen. So keep it in mind. You can slide beyond the base, but you just can't interfere. That's all. Just look at that real closely when you do it. Your plate guy's going to have to help you in a two-man crew, obviously, because the guy in the B or C position is going to be looking for, the out registered at second, that he's going to have to turn and go to first. So when that turn happens, the plate guy's got to be all over that. So plate guy's going to have to help out on that one, as usual. We've been doing that for a lot of years. So you're both, you're a team out there. So make sure that, when the base umpire turns to rule on the play first, that plate guy is all over that slide. All right. Okay, so when illegally executed, as the slide says, as shown in play pick, hurdling, jumping, or leaping over a fielder supersedes obstruction. Okay, so in this situation, that's going to be illegal on that because the catcher is not lying on the ground. So just keep in mind, hurdling, jumping, leaping, got to have that player, got to have that fielder on the ground when that happens. All right, so just keep that in mind. So diving over a fielder is always illegal. Can't dive. Diving supersedes obstruction. So we can't do that. It's dangerous for both players to be doing that. It's dangerous for the fielder, dangerous for the runner. So, he's going to gain air on that, and he's going to come down. Maybe he's going to break a finger. He's going to come into the base. Who knows what's going to happen? But either way, NFHS considers this illegal. So no diving allowed. Jumping, hurling, leaping, okay. diving knot, okay? Okay, so we have a couple of umpire mechanics changes coming up. Keep in mind, in the state of New Mexico, we went with the new mechanics book that that we've been developing for the past 3 or 4 years now. So we no longer go with the NFHS umpire mechanics book. We go with the one that that we put together, 3 or 4 years ago. That deals with 2-man mechanics and 3-man mechanics. So, but they're making a suggestion here about umpire mechanics changes. So just keep in mind, they're not really significant changes, but let's go over them and check it out. So and I don't know how you guys have operated in the past, but when you have extra information, like for instance, if a runner slides into the plate and the ball gets loose, the home plate umpire maybe is blocked out. He doesn't see it come loose, catcher grabs it real quick, tags him, and he's still out. So if your base guy sees that base loose, then what they're suggesting is we tap on a chest or come up with some kind of a signal. It used to be, you take your hat off if you had extra information for your plate guy, or the plate guy taking his hat off if he has extra information about the, for the base guy. So right now they're just suggesting we tap on the chest as a, less, in your face, kind of take your hat off kind of thing and make a big production. They're just going to try to get you to get a little bit more subtle about that. Tap on the chest if you have extra information, if you want to change a call or you want to get the home plate umpire's attention to talk about exactly what was seen. The ball got loose, obviously it's going to be safe. So so that's what they're suggesting here. I don't know that the mechanics book actually says that. I think, in fact, I don't think they do, but they're just making a suggestion that, simple and subtle. And then in the 3- and 4-man mechanics, umpires can signal to partners which direction they'll be rotating. Guys, we've been doing this for a long time, okay? This is nothing new, but there's been some really crazy pointing signals going on out there. I've known some umpires to use their feet with this. I mean, it's kind of weird, but we're trying to just keep this real simple. I mean, you're just gonna go around the horn on a 3-man crew, and you're just gonna point with both hands that you're going in this direction. It's just to kind of keep everybody on the same page. But becoming automatic out there and knowing exactly what you're going to do before it happens. So, I mean, players do that. They're taught to do that at all times. They are taught to think about, hey, if the ball comes to me, what am I going to do? Am I going to throw it to third, to second, to first, whatever? So they're just suggesting that we go with this. But like I said, we've been doing this for years. So this is nothing new. So all I would suggest is if you do want to deviate from that a little bit, just get with your partner at the beginning of the game. And talk about, what signals you're going to use to signal your intentions out there. So, okay, the rest of this, unless you have any other questions, the rest of this is some advertising on the NFHS website. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the website too, by the way, guys, if you go in there, if you paid your registration fees, you have access to this. So, jump on. If you want any kind of clarification on anything or any kind of justification for any kind of a rule change for 2019, this is a really good resource for that. So, and they just keep going through, and it's all sports too, by the way. So, I mean, if you're a baseball guy, you're going to obviously do the baseball thing. But if you're curious about basketball or football, you want to get into it, then you can. So, through all these, different kind of resources. So, and by the way, our numbers in baseball in the state of New Mexico are critically low. I would say, guys, if you could please advertise, please promote umpiring, get young kids into it. I mean, I'm trying to think of the age limit on that. I think you can be 15 if you want to do sub-varsity games, but I think you have to be 16 to do anything above. 18. Oh, it's 18. Okay, so it's 15 to do sub-varsity games, and then you say 18? 18, minimum age 18 to get involved in anything above the JV level. So, okay. All right. So all I'm saying is let's get the word out, shall we? I mean, I think we had a count in our meeting last night or on Monday. I think we only have 37 umpires who do 900 games. And that's just in the central region. So So I would just say if you can get anybody and everybody involved in this, please do. Please promote it. We have a recruiting guy here that is going to use Facebook to his advantage, and so we're going to try to get that going. And so, but we need more people. We're down to, I think, levels that I've never seen so low. So guys, if you could just get the word out, just get some people involved. Let them know it pays. Let them know that we pay you to do this. So
Pay raise next year too.
What's that?
The pay raise next year.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Dana mentioned that the pay is going to increase next year. So I think we used to make $54, and now it's going to be, is it 60? Yeah, $60 for next year. So we did get a raise for this year, so you can promote that as well. So just make sure you get the word out, because I mean it looks like 37 of us are going to do like 50 games each to try to keep up with this. So we don't want to cancel any games either because of lack of umpires. That'd be kind of embarrassing. So we just don't want to do that. Okay, guys. So I'm going to deal with a little bit of three-man here. Okay, so our state clinic on Friday and Saturday was supposed to involve a three-man crew scrimmage session at El Dorado, but the field was horrible. We couldn't do it, so we had to talk about it. But thing is, when you're talking about three-man in a classroom, you just can't get it. I mean, you guys know that. And we don't do three-man often. We do it at state tournament at all times. Some of you guys who are doing college games are going to be doing three-man a lot. So, but I'm just gonna go over some really some basic concepts of three-man. We're not going to have any diagrams. We're not going to do anything like that complicated, because I know you're not going to get it. So the only way to get it is to be on the field and do it, make mistakes and move on and do it better next time. So, hey, in three-man crew, just make sure you realize you got a third guy out there. Okay, you gotta have a decent pregame on that. Make sure everybody knows what's going on. The biggest thing in three-man is knowing when to go out from the A and the D position. Okay, so let's keep this real simple. So let's operate on first move by the center fielder. All right, so if that center fielder moves to the right, then the third base umpire is going to go out. If the center fielder is moving to his left, the first base umpire is going to go out. Okay, on a trouble ball, that is. And know what a trouble ball is too, by the way. But like I said, keep that super simple. If the center fielder is coming straight in, then we're going to have U1 be the umpire who goes out on that. So first move by center fielder in a three-man. It'll make it real super simple for you. And it's you got to use pause, read, and react out there. You got to know where that fielder is going to be going. Don't just respond at the crack of the bat. That's going to get you in trouble every time. So just make sure that, like I said, it's real simple. Center fielder moves toward the third base umpire goes out. Center fielder moves away toward the first base umpire goes out. Coming straight in, we're going to get the first base umpire always to go out on that one, just because then we can box him in. The plate guy can go up to first base. The third base umpire can come over and deal with that. So just that basic concept of going out from the A and D positions. You've got to lock into that. You got to deal with that in your pregame. If you keep it that simple, I think it's going to go extremely well. Because I mean, it's a little discouraging, when both umpires go out. For the plate guy, when both umpires go out to rule on something. Now the plate guy has the entire field, obviously, and that's not going to impress the plate guy. So just know exactly what you're doing. Use the pause, read, react situation, and then like I said, if you go out, stay out. If you go out hard and stay out, and know what a trouble ball is. Let's just go over that briefly. So a trouble ball is any kind of outfielder who turns and runs toward a fence. That's obviously a trouble ball. Any kind of multiple players converging in the outfield, you're definitely going to want to go out on that one. If a catch is being made below the waist, that's a really good reason to go out. That's considered a trouble ball. And any kind of outfielder moving toward a foul line, you're going to definitely want to go out on that too. Just make sure, like I said, if the center fielder moves toward the third base umpire, he's going to be dealing with that. First base umpire, if he goes toward the first base umpire, he's going to be dealing with that, okay? So keep that real simple. And if you can just lock in those two things on three-man at the beginning, you'll at least know, who's got jurisdiction out there, and we don't get two umpires flipping out to the outfield and leaving the plate stranded. So really, that's really all I wanted to kind of say about that. We're not gonna get into too much of a heavy detail, but those are the main concepts. The two things that you could really deal with that would help your three-man mechanics by just making sure you know when you go out from the A or D position, and knowing knowing which guy goes out. Like I said, first play by the center field, first move by the center fielder. Keep it real simple. All right, so I think there's a couple more things I wanted to deal with. Hey, remember on a three-man crew, if you're in the C position as the third base umpire, remember on that double play, now you can stare that play down. You're going to get real tempted to, when that ball gets thrown to first as a third base umpire, you're going to get tempted to turn your head and your whole body toward first because that's what you're used to. But just recall, you got a guy at first. You can hang with that. You could hang with that for 10 seconds if you want to, and hold off on that call. But like I said, your face needs to be, your head and body need to be stuck with that at second base, and just focus on it, stay with it, resist the urge to go to first base on that. And I think there's one more thing, the concept of boxing them in. We talked about that earlier. You always want to box in these runners. You always want to put a runner between a couple of umpires in a three-man crew situation. Also, as a first base umpire, if the ball is hit through the infield, you don't have to pivot in. So remember that. In two-man crew, you're going to be doing that. But in a three-man crew, you do not have to do that because that's going to be confusing, especially if you're working with somebody who you've never worked three-man crew with. So just remember, if that ball gets through, all you have to do is come straight down that first base line, kind of come around, open up your vision, see what's going on, line up, touch, and tag if there's going to be a throw to first. You do not have to pivot because it's most likely going to confuse your third base guy because he's going to be thinking that you're going to be coming in at second base. So just keep that in mind. One other thing I think I wanted to deal with, just the fact that communication is critical. We talked about these new the hand signals about going. Guys, feel free to use your voice on that. And if I'm working first and Mark Soriano's working second, I'm gonna say, "Hey, Mark, I'm going this way," or "Mark, I'm going this way," and Mark's gonna say the same thing. Feel free to verbalize that. You don't have to be silent out there. You don't have to be subtle with these. You don't have to hide these signals. And you think baseball umpires shouldn't say anything out there. Well, of course we should. Absolutely say something. Tell your guy where you're going to go before the ball's hit. That way, it's automatic and everybody does the right thing. And then this concept of a pause, read, react. You got to do that. Don't get out of the habit of going out on the crack of the bat because it's going to be confusing. Wait, pause, read, and react. I mean, you're doing that on every play anyway. So especially do that when that ball's hit to the outfield. If you have a trouble ball, you wait and you see where that center fielder is going to move. He's, like I said, and I'm going to say it over and over again. If he's moving toward the third base umpire, that's who's going to go out. If he's moving toward the first base umpire, he's going to go out. Straight in, first base umpire every time. Okay. So if there are no more questions, I think we're done. I just wanted to get a couple of just basic concepts of three-man. Like I said, no drawings, no diagrams. You're just going to have to do this. You're just going to have to get involved, do it, make mistakes, learn from them, and move on. It's not going to be a big deal. A lot of folks don't really realize we're making mistakes out there, except us. So after the game, your crew chief is probably going to get together with you, or maybe the home plate umpire made a mistake, and so you're going to be talking about that. But it's not a malicious thing. It's just that it's a way to learn by making a mistake out there and not making it again. Okay, so hey, everybody, you guys promote umpiring if you would, please. Get everybody involved. If you got a 15-year-old who needs a job, get him or her out there. If you got an 18-year-old that's that's interested in the game, maybe played the game and doesn't play it anymore, get him or her involved. Get them out there. Welcome them into your groups and get them umpiring because come on, 37 guys in the Central Region for 900 games. That's disturbing to me in a huge way. So if you guys could just help me out, I'm doing the same thing over on my side. I'm trying to get people involved. I got a couple of guys interested already, but like I said, guys, if you could just help us all out and get more people involved in this amazing game. I mean, I've loved it. I've done it for 30 years, and I can't stop, and I won't stop until I can't walk anymore. Okay, so so get them involved. Get everybody and anybody involved in your towns and your cities. Central Region has we're, like I said, we just got a recruiting guy. He volunteered for it, on Monday night. So he's going to be using Facebook to his advantage. So trying to get some people involved. So if you don't have any more questions, I'm done. And guys, have a great 2019 baseball.
This is Kenny. I got a question. I don't think they can hear me, babe. I can't send this question. That one about the PowerPoint.